when do you remember when you discovered Bowie for the first time when you were young?
You're making me flash back 40 years.
This is Rolling Live. Hey, it's Matt Pinfield on the set of a Bowie celebration, a star-studded tribute to the late, great David Bowie, created by his longtime friend and pianist, Mike Garson, and produced by Rolling Live Studios. Before the show, I sat down with Jane's Addiction guitarist Dave Navarro to talk about his love for David Bowie. Dave Navarro was part of a supergroup that got together just for this occasion, calling themselves Ground Control, and they did an incredible version of Hang On To Yourself. Here's a piece of that now. Now, because we filmed this during sound check, you'll have to forgive a little bit of Taylor Hawkins' drum banging in the background, but hey, that's rock and roll.
Dave, it's great to see you again, man.
It's great to see you too. You know, I'm familiar with the Zach Galifianakis show Between Two Ferns. I didn't realize that I was going to be within a fern. Okay, I'm just playing. Nice to see you, Matt.
Yeah, it's great.
It's really good to see you.
Yeah, it's so good to see you. So, listen, Dave, I know what a big Bowie fan you've always been, and I want to talk to you about what was like. When do you remember when you discovered Bowie for the first time when you were young?
You're making me flash back 40 years. You
know? But it's great.
As far as I know, and honestly, this is my honest memory, as far as I know, David Bowie has always been a part of my life because I can only remember back so far, you know? Yeah. And so I grew up with that music. And then when he started getting into the visual imagery and the videos and the Ashes to Ashes stuff came out, and then like even the DJ song or TV15, like all those videos, like when the heyday of MTV and all that stuff, that really had an impact on me. And I went backwards. So I had to go backwards from there. And once I discovered Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, I lost my mind. And then I just went on the biggest deep dive Bowie, fanatical deep dive that one could do. With all the material, even the early material that people don't know about when he was like more of a long-haired folk singer, like he was trying to find his voice. Yeah. And just watching him evolve throughout the years and watching the consistency of the evolution consistently being good. Yeah. Whereas a lot of artists evolve and they evolve into the wrong direction sometimes, you know? He may, listen, you know, say what you will about Glass Spider Tour. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But at the time, he was pushing the envelope. You know, if you look back at that now, you're like, maybe not. But at the time, he was getting theatrical. He was becoming more into production. And I've always appreciated his way of remaining himself, but portraying a character. Yeah. So when the Ziggy record came out, and it's about essentially an alien who becomes a rock star, right? Yeah. And feeling alienated my whole life and becoming a rock star, I really identified with it. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It makes
because in order to deal with that alienation, you build a persona to put out there almost to keep people away. Yeah. You know, because if you have this big persona, then they're not going to get too close. So that record changed my life, and it goes hand in hand with the Who's Tommy for me, and it goes hand in hand with The Wall from Pink Floyd. These are all records about people who survived what might be known as some kind of a traumatic event. Imagine being an alien coming to this planet and having to figure out who you are. So, and then when I was very, very young, I would say that the film Man Who Fell to Earth fucked me up. Yeah. Like, because that came out, I was like 9, and I saw that it was on cable, and I was like, who is this guy? Yeah. And so I just fell in love with him, and I fell in love with his lyrical content and even his sense of humor, which a lot of people aren't very aware of. I guess it's not general knowledge, but the guy is a funny motherfucker too, you know? But Ziggy, it's interesting to bring up the Ziggy record because about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, me and Billy Morrison run a organization called Above Ground, which is to raise money for mental health awareness and for treatment for people suffering with mental health issues. And we covered Ziggy Stardust, the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders of Mars from beginning to end. And we didn't thrash through it.
Yeah.
We got horn sections. We had Mike Garson come out and play piano. We had Carmine Rojas play bass. So these are guys who were playing with Bowie. Now they're playing with us. And we did that record from beginning to end, played it note for note as close as we possibly could, including little mistakes that are on the record that like in today's world you would fix or chop and slide it around in the computer. Like if you listen to Genie, they're all changing on different time signatures because they just kind of like looking around and like you hear a guitar change and the bass stays the same and he catches up. Like that was part of the magic. It was the performance. And with Ziggy,
going from 5 years to Rock and Roll Suicide all the way through, right?
Going all the way through, starting with 5 years, going all the way to Rock and Roll Suicide. And the amazing thing is that Bowie is basically playing guitar, acoustic guitar, throughout the entire album. So even though it sounds like this bombastic rock record at times, there's always him strumming with it. And it lends the question is like, how did they track that stuff? Did he just lay down the acoustic and voice and the band built around it? There's a lot of mystique and mystery around that I don't know.
Yeah, Ken Scott was, of course, the producer of that record.
Okay.
Talked about, like the positioning microphones to get that crisp acoustic sound over the electric of Mick Ronson, which is like so cool.
And one of the things that I actually ended up stealing from Bowie as a guitar player, when he would play 12-string, he would lose the double strings on the lower register. So it was just 3 strings and then 6. So you could play your chord the way the chord sounds, but still have the jangle of the 12-string sound. But if anyone who plays 12-string knows that to mash down a full bar chord or full shape on a 12-string is a pain in the ass. And Bowie worked around that and made his own sound out of the acoustic. And so I adopted that style when playing the acoustic. So he taught me a lot about guitar playing as well.
Was that something you did like from the very beginning, actually, Dave, would you say?
No, I would say that didn't happen until probably about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And, so that really opened my eyes to production, to the minimalistic changes that can happen within the instrument, within the song, that can make a massive, massive difference at the end for the final result.
Dave, thanks for doing this. It was great to have you, man. This is Just for One Day, a celebration of David Bowie's life and music.
Next time you join us, we'll be joined by Chris Chaney, bass player extraordinaire from Jane's Addiction, to talk about his love for David Bowie.